JD unmuted. There you go, JD. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Great. I can.
Right on.
Perfection. All right, so let's get started. So as you can see on the screen, change is a process, not an event. And we've been in this process for a good 2 weeks now. And again, I want to thank everybody that's an early adopter that's been testing this for us so that when we go live with all of our agents at the end of the month on April 29th, we'll have most of these bugs worked out. So I do want to point out the training site. So if you've had any questions in this transition, you can, of course, always reach out to JD or myself. But if you head to schmidtresources.com, there is a link for the G Suite training site. And there's great things in here for the Google Guides for all the trainings. If you happen to miss it last week, if you were on spring break like I was, some of those trainings are in there. There's also just general training if you have any questions on how to use the new G Suite product. So we did sit through an FAQ yesterday. So thank you to those that were able to call in yesterday on first and third. If you did miss it, I did just load it up in the video classroom, so you can go back through and listen to that if you have any questions. So we're going to talk today about contacts and calendars. And the good news is all of our email for the early adopters came over, not just the first 6 months, because they only migrated a certain amount of us. They were actually able to migrate all of our emails. So you should be all set there. All of your folders should have come across as well. Of course, G Suite calls them labels. It's not called a folder. But if you're having any issues with that, let me know. We had a couple of reports of not all folders coming over. But for the most part, I think we were able to figure that out. So if you're having any issues there, let us know. So emails and folders all came over automatically. But your contacts and your calendar, whether you were using webmail or Outlook or iMail, do need to be done manually. There is not a way to do that automatically. So I will toss it over to JD to show his screen so that he can show you how to get your contacts over. So JD, it's going to be coming to you.
I'm ready.
Right now. You can share your screen.
Okay, let's see. Show my screen. Okay, so it looks like everyone can see me, so I'm going to assume we're good. So I did a little video about this the other day. It was like a quick 90-second one, and thankfully exporting contacts from the main two that I've been looking at is webmail, Rackspace, and then Outlook is another pretty big one that people have been using. So thankfully it is a pretty easy process. What you're going to want to do is you can see that I'm logged into webmail right now, and then right up across the top you're just going to switch over to the contacts tab. I have an entire one contact in right now, which is just overwhelming. So I want to make sure we get this over to Gmail. So there's a button right at the top. It just says Import Export Contacts. And you can see right now all I have is just her job title and email. But if you had all the other forms filled out for certain clients, they'll all come over. So you just click Import Export Contacts. Go down to the Export Contacts part, and you'll see there's even a tab specifically for Gmail. So you click the box, you export it. And then it goes probably to your downloads folder, so you just gotta know where that is. And then right here, you'll see it comes through. It's just the one, but whoops. But it comes through. So then head your way over to your Gmail account, your G Suite account. And what you're gonna want to do is in the upper right, where the little grid is, you'll see the Google Apps. You're gonna click Contacts. For me, it's down here. Yours might be arranged a little differently, but I haven't seen that to be the case. Click on Contacts, and then again, depending on how you can see I've got a lot of labels over here. If I minimize those, you'll see there is a More button. Not Settings, not under, it's right under Labels, so it says More right here. Just again, click on that. You click Import. It's going to ask you to select a file. You just pick the file from your computer. I'm going to click Open on it, import it, and it'll show you everything that's on there. So one thing that we were talking about on the call yesterday, so by the way, you're done, like they're here already, but if you ever click, sometimes this button comes up. I actually had it do this for me without me even asking it to, but if I click Find Duplicates, it'll scan all of my contacts and say, hey look, it looks like you've got 2 Tamaras in there. Do you want to merge them? And if you have multiple emails, like if you've got one that's CB Great Lakes and one that's, just some random AOL, it'll merge them both into the same contact for you, so that if you start typing either email, it'll come up as that person. So now I don't have any duplicates. It's just the one Tamara with probably 3 to 4 emails. So that really is the gist of it. I have a sheet here for Outlook as well. Honestly, to export from Outlook, it's even easier because you don't even need to go to contacts. It's just you need to be on Outlook and then click File, and then there's under Open and Export, there's an Import Export button right there. It's got the 2 little arrows, and it's the same thing. You export the file. It'll pick where you're going to go to. I mean, you export it, you just take it over to Gmail, and you import it right in there. I'm pretty sure that I posted this article for Outlook on the ASC group, but if anybody needs it, feel free to reach out and I can send it out to you again. But this is one that I think a lot of agents are going to need because they use Outlook. A lot of agents do, so just keep an eye out. If you have any agents in your office who use Outlook, they just need to go to File, Open and Export when this happens at the end of the month. Last thing I'll say is basically if you use anything else, if you're using AOL or some other platform, it's going to be the same thing where you just got to find where you export your contacts and export them all in a file, and then just go to your Google contacts and upload all of them. And I think that's the gist of it, unless any questions came in regarding this, Carrie, but I'll let you take back over.
Sure. So Nicole Clark did point out to be careful of merging people. She accidentally merged you and Jeanette together this morning. It must have read, they probably both read like J Woggle.
So sounds like user error.
Them together. So yeah, do be careful if you're merging, but it is just as easy as JD said. So I will go ahead and change myself back to presenter. So thank you for that, JD. And as always, if you guys have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box. If they're more complicated, you can raise your hand and we can unmute you. And Jessica asked, can you get the recent contacts? I think you were having problems with that yesterday, Jessica. As far as your webmail contacts, they do have to be an actual contact. They can't just be one that showed up historically if it's not an actual contact. So when you export those contacts, as JD showed you, you do have to make sure they're an actual contact. And Diane asked, she had a group mail contact for the office. Can you show setting that up in Gmail? So sure, that's a great question, Diane. That's also something that does not come over. So since I have the screen, I'll go ahead and show you how to do that. So the easiest way is to go into your apps menu and go to contacts. If you scroll all the way down on your left-hand side, you might not have to scroll as far as me. I already have mine set up, but you simply hit create label. That's BlueSync, not BS, by the way. Hit save, and then you can go through and click on the people that you want in it. And then you simply click the label up here so you can see they're check marked. Click the label. And then scroll to the one you want and just check mark it. Now there is an apply here, so you can click apply there. But if you're in the actual contact, like I just opened this up, 522 front desk, if you go here and click on testing, you can see the check mark appeared there. You can just click off that screen and it will put them in that group. So you can do it individually or you can do it by multiple people. So hopefully that answered your question, Diane. If you have any other questions on that, just let me know. So thanks, JD. Stay on just in case a couple more questions come back. And we're going to talk about calendars now. So as easy as JD just showed you exporting your contacts is, unfortunately, calendars are not that simple. It is a manual process. I begged and pleaded and bargained, and there is just no way to get your webmail calendar automatically syncing with Google. So my suggestion is this is a calendar in webmail. If you're using this, the best thing that you can do is to print it. And then you can have it physically in front of you when you're in your calendar in G Suite to add it back in. So to do that, you just simply right-click, print, and it'll let you print that month. Now, obviously, if you're like me and you have reoccurring appointments, you want to make sure that you grab all of those and transfer them over to G Suite. Now, Rackspace isn't going away as of today, so I would suggest transferring over as much of your calendar as you can, but leaving your webmail calendar running because you'll know right away if something pops up that you've missed putting on G Suite. So that'll help you get your calendar transferred over. Now, I will say there, if you're running iMail or Outlook, there is an actual export that you can do. I can't show you an Outlook because I don't currently have it even loaded on my system. But if you just Google export Outlook calendar to Google, this great article comes up. And just like JD showed you for the contacts, there's a really easy way to export your Outlook calendar that will then let you import it into G Suite. And it works the same way with iMail. So if you go into your iCal, not iMail, sorry, iCal, you can simply go into File, Export, and it will let you export a calendar that you can then import into your G Suite. So calendar is not quite as user-friendly as contacts. They do have to be manually done if you're in webmail. If you're running Outlook or iMail, you do have the opportunity to do those exports. And don't forget, in webmail, there is calendar and tasks. So if you are running tasks separate from calendar, you're going to need to manually put them both in. But G Suite, of course, has a great calendar, and they also have a great task. So you are able to transfer those all over. It just needs to be done manually. So let me check questions. So Kathleen, to answer your question for G Suite, you are not an early migrator, so you'll actually be receiving yours. You should have gotten your password, but I'll check on that after the call. But you guys are going to be transferring over on April 29th. So you'll be able to have all your emails migrate at the end of the month, and then you'll be able to access G Suite. You are with the Paradise. If I'm wrong on that, let me know, but I'm pretty sure you're with Paradise. So you guys will be migrating on April 29th. So good question. Daniela asked, how do we merge multiple Google calendars, or do you have a training module to understand Google Calendar options? So there was some training on Google Calendars. Daniela, and I know you were on spring break the same time I was. So if you want to come over to the training site, you can go into the training assets and find that. But the easiest way to do it is if you're sharing, so like these are my calendars here on the left side of my screen. You can see I have multiple. So if you're running like a @gmail.com personal account, you simply go into there, go to the three little dots, go to settings and sharings, and then you can share it. So you can see my personal account, CarrieLynneScomp@gmail, was shared with Carrie at Schmidt Family of Companies. So now it'll show up on my Schmidt Family of Companies calendar without ever having to log into Gmail. So it is pretty simple to share that calendar. And then for those of you that run multiple calendars like myself, you can make them different colors. You can uncheck the ones that you don't want to see right away. You have a lot of different options there. So calendars are super user-friendly in Google. So if you have any questions about that after the fact, just let me know. Kim Wren asks, is online office going away? She has tasks set up there and use it every day. There are no plans to get rid of online office today, Kim. Rackspace, the webmail portion, will eventually go away. Online office, currently, we have no transition plans for that, but I would suggest, as time allows, transferring those over into G Suite so that you're running off one platform, because I think you'll find the ease of it is a lot better than what you get out of online office. But webmail will go away, which is Rackspace. Online office, your portal there, will not go away as of today. Patty asked, when will Cedarville be switched to G Suite? Patty, you should have already been, but we did find out yesterday after the call that there were a few that were missed as early adopters, so I will take a look at that after the fact. So for both Kathleen and Patty, since I run off very limited memory these days, if you guys could shoot me an email and let me know, I'll take a look about that. I do have Launchpad right at 10, so I'll take a look after. So I don't see any other questions at this time. JD, do you have anything to add for us this morning?
Not particularly, no. Just keep on keeping on, everybody.
Well, again, to go back to our earlier point, change is a process, not an event. We'll be in process with this change for a while. I have been getting reports of people absolutely loving G Suite. A lot of you have been in Gmail personally, or even a lot of you created your own work emails in there in the past. So a lot of you are already familiar with the platform. There's great things like chat and Hangout. The calendar is amazing. So I do encourage you to take all training. There will be more training coming out. Our go live for our general population training will go out soon. So you guys can always sit through that again if you want. But as early adopters, you've already sat through it. You don't need to. And yes, Daniela, if you head to schmidtresources.com, there is a G Suite square that you can click on that will take you straight to that training site. So thanks for that question. So it is 9:45. That's all I have for you today. Thanks, JD, for helping out with this today. And if you guys have any questions, let me know, let JD know. We'll get your questions answered as soon as we possibly can. So thanks so much for your support on this. We're really super excited.